Did the self-check in my last video reveal something scary? Is the course you created not accomplishing the goals that you set out? This video is going to cover revitalizing your course, focusing on the areas with the biggest impact. I'm Dr. Catrina Mitchum, Learning Experience Designer, and I've been designing courses for adults online since 2009. So we're going to fix your course based on the biggest mistakes. So we're going to go back to those goals and focus on how to create concrete goals. So one of the first things that I like to walk folks through is taking maybe that big goal or that description of your course and asking why. Why do they need to do this thing? We go through the 5 whys, and that involves why this thing and answering it, and then taking your answer and saying, okay, well, why that thing? And then why that thing? And doing that 5 times until you get to the root of the problem. And that's going to help you move forward into being more concrete in what this course is going to accomplish for your clients. After you do the 5 whys and you have the big kind of umbrella goal, it's useful to walk through SMART goals minus the T. And these SMART goals are not for you. These are SMART goals that you are going to set for your learners. So you're going to ask, are they specific? Are they achievable? Are they measurable? Are they realistic? I do tend to leave the T off here, not because being timely isn't important. However, time is a negotiation in a course, right? And so it's not useful for you to articulate to them how long it might take you, because it's going to be different for them, right? You're the expert. They're coming to you and they're going to be slower at everything that you imagine. So if you have some time estimates, double them. So we're going to drop the T off for now, but remember that estimating time is going to be important. And so you're going to create goals based on that why, the root of the problem, using SMART. And when you do that, you've got a list of goals that then your learner can work toward. And how many goals you have is really going to depend on what you're trying to teach and the approximate time frame you are trying to do it in. How much is reasonable to accomplish in that time? And it might be that you don't have a single course, that you have a bunch of courses that build on each other. And that's going to be better than a giant course that feels like a hurdle that they'll never be able to get over. The second big mistake is not having the how and the why clearly articulated. And for this one, I like to make a course map. And so what a course map is it lists out all of the steps and all of the activities and all of the content, and it leaves space for articulating the why and the how. You can create a series of checkboxes, or if you like to do a visual mind map like I do, then you can color code things to make sure that you have done it. But really the goal of a mind map is to give you, as the designer of the course, a bird's eye view of the things that are in the course and what those things are hoping to accomplish and how they build on each other to create a course that somebody can complete. You should be able to see what's called the learning arc, right? So this journey that they're going on from point A to point B, and how they're going to overcome all of the hurdles that get in the way getting from point A to point B, and how you're clearly articulating how those things are going to help. And so some of this is going to involve you just taking a step back and putting yourself into the shoes of a beginner and making sure that you ask yourself, why am I asking them to do this? How am I expecting them to do this? Are there options for them to do all of the things that you are asking them to do in the course? The third one is impactful activities. And so this goes back to that application, and you want to make sure that the activities are things that are actually practicing the use of the knowledge that's going to help you get to the goals. So some different ways that you can apply information that are kind of generic. It's really going to depend on what those goals are. And so working backwards from the goals is helpful. Think about, if the end goal is to be able to have that 15-minute small talk conversation, what is the step right before that to know that I've completed it? It might be going out and practicing with 3 different people and then coming back and reflecting on it. That's going to be an impactful activity where they're going out, they're practicing, they're taking that experience, they are processing that experience, And then thinking about, okay, this is what went well. This is what I'm not sure went well. And this is how I'm going to change or practice or do it better next time. And then they can build off of that for the second and third ones, and then do like an overarching, okay, I think I might be getting, I might be getting better at small talk. And then they can continue to practice that even after your course ends. The things that they might do before they get to those 15-minute conversations is thinking back to other times they've struggled with small talk and trying to figure out what it is about small talk that they don't like. And that might involve a reflection. It might involve having them sit down and remember things. It might involve having them go try it from the beginning and then come back and process it if it's been a while since they've tried having a small talk conversation. And that last one is accessibility. So most people still have problems with basic functional accessibility. And so that's where I'm going to leave you on this video. You want to make sure that your videos are captioned. And while auto captions have come a really long way in the last 10 years, especially with AI, they're not perfect. I always have to fix mine, even today. And so if you're going to do auto captions, make sure that they are auto captions that you have checked and that you have fixed and you've made sure that there's punctuation. Remember, captions serve for people that can't hear you. And so if the sentences or the words don't make sense together, then they're going to have a hard time understanding. And part of accessibility is breaking down barriers to understanding. And accessibility in a course is breaking down barriers to learning. And so you want to make sure that those captions are correct. Alt text is another one. Make sure that your alt text is descriptive enough to articulate why that image is useful to the person that is listening to the description of the visual. PDF OCR and read order are a little bit difficult because there's a company that has almost cornered the market in being able to do those things in a PDF. Something that can impact the read order of a PDF is how you originally place it. So like in Canva, sometimes if you go back and you add things additionally after you've designed it, the read order can be out of order. And so when a screen reader is reading it, it will read it all over the place, which makes it difficult to understand. And so the fix for this is to check the read order. Transcripts are easy. If you have done the alt text for your video, you can easily grab the transcripts for those. If you've done more of an audio course, again, you'll want to check the transcripts before you share them, because this is another instance of it's about understanding, right? And so if the AI speech to text wasn't understanding you in some places, then you'll need to make sure that it's correct. The last two that I'm going to cover are color blindness. And for this one, I've got a checker that I like to use, and I'll put it in the description box. And that's really just making sure that there's enough contrast so that someone that is colorblind can read and process and understand the information that you're giving them. And then plain language. Again, I have a link in the description box that will show you a side-by-side of the impact of plain language. And plain language is just about making things clear and understandable by not using mostly a lot of jargon. And jargon are words that are very specific to the content that you're trying to deliver or the area that you're an expert in. So sometimes if you're trying to teach someone how to be more like you might need to include jargon, but then it's about making sure that the definitions of those words are always easily accessible. So like I defined jargon when I started this piece. And so defining it and then reiterating what those things are. So jargon is me using the word jargon, right? It's a word that's very specific to understanding a domain, and a domain is the area that you are an expert in. So you want to make sure that you are writing in plain language for understandability, because that removes a barrier to learning. Do you need help with the checking or the fixing on your course? I'm running a beta test of my Course Fixer program. Check it out in the description.